There we go.
Morning, Bob.
Morning, folks. Excuse me while I get set up here. Why does this keep turning off? One moment. Okay, is Wendy on board yet? So we're waiting for Brian and Wendy. I will be right back. I'm going to send a text to Brian. Be on in a second here.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. Our power must have blinked off during the night. I had to restart everything.
Ours too.
Small lightning storm in the middle of the night. 2 o'clock in the morning. It was rather strong.
I got Jed's corrections. Anybody else have any? As long as we're hanging out. Okay.
Yeah, actually let's wait until we get everybody on
Oh yeah, I understand,
Yeah,
but I'm just
Brian
trying to get ahead of things a bit.
Is here. His mic isn't on.
Oh, okay, there he is. Good.
I'm here.
Okay, good morning all. Okay, I want to convene the meeting. I got, as you all saw, I got regrets from Tony. He's got a family obligation this morning, so we can't make this, which would be his last meeting since he's not applying for reinstatement. So we do have a quorum, so we can begin. The first I want to ask is and just in terms of just clarification from Anne Marie.
Anne Marie's
we
not
all
here. Is she
She's
not
here.
Oh, no,
she's
sorry.
here.
Front
Yeah,
and
we
center,
all
sorry.
you know, this is procedural, so it's doesn't need to be on the agenda. But we all got an email saying that that our reappointments had not taken place on the June 11th select board meeting, and that all of our I guess our certificates, which we would need to sign and be sworn in, were invalid. Do we need to all start over again, Anne Marie? I just don't know the procedure.
You don't need to start over. The letters of intent are still there, but it won't be on the agenda till July 16th, because we haven't had a chance. I think the mix-up was that the select board, each of the select board members renewed their liaisons and commitments to different committee. We had some moving parts, committee representation moved around because of the new from Jean coming on board as a select board member. And some committees, actually, not going to continue on. So I think that was the little bit of mix up, and that was done at that meeting. So I think it was assumed that appointed committee members of the committees were also appointed and not just select board. So that's I think what happened. So anyway, long story short, we July 16th will be reappointments, agenda July 16th. So unfortunately, this committee won't be able to meet between that time, but you still can continue to do, the speed test and you just can't deliberate and collaborate as a committee.
This is a very important
kidding
time.
me?
We can't not do that.
I had conversation with Mary Jane, and she said, I cannot do it until July 16th. It's not going on the agenda till July 16th. And until we decide, what the second steps are for the committee, there's been challenges with the charge and looking at the charge, and if we have to make changes to that charge. Well,
were they going to talk to us about that first?
Well, the committee, you brought forth, you have issues with some of the charges and, wanted us to take a look at the charges and make recommendations on the charges. So that hasn't happened yet. We haven't had that conversation yet.
In the middle of the challenge
and
process,
I know it's the worst timing in the world. I spoke with Mary Jane twice.
This is beyond being sluggish and appearing to be obstructionist to all the hard work we're doing. This is a dagger in the back. This is the most important thing we've ever done. And you're telling us we can't even talk about it until it's almost over. That's totally unacceptable. Call a special meeting. Do something ex officio. I don't care. There's got to be a way to fix this, and fix this immediately.
Wendy, I've had conversations 2 days in a row.
Well, let's have some more then.
On this issue.
Quick comment here.
It's not dismissing any of the hard work that's being done by this committee. It's not.
Okay.
Just the way it's turned out.
Hello.
I'm going to recognize it, Jed.
So as of Wednesday, the committee doesn't exist. So as a group, we can do whatever we want because we're no longer a committee, right? We just can't interact with the town, but we could have conference calls and do whatever we want until we're a committee again.
Yes.
Well, all right then.
You just can't.
We can't use this. We can't use this particular Zoom call. We can't be interacting with anybody in town. But as of Sunday, we're just 6 citizens. We can just go off and do Google Meet conversations all we want until we're a committee again.
There you go. I have
that would be correct, Google,
right? But that makes us no longer qualified submitters for the state. So in that time span, so how do we bridge that problem?
Well, that's I mean, so that's I'm just talking about the meeting situation.
Okay, when we get to the B challenge part, we'll have that conversation about what the update.
Okay, at the very least, the subcommittees that we've had are going to continue to interact, et cetera, and do what they've been doing, okay, with less than a quorum, okay, regardless of what the official ruling is. But so we're going to have to figure a way to work around.
There would be no, once the committee is dissolved, there would be no public meeting law in effect.
There you go.
Correct.
So
we can do whatever we want from July 1st until we are a committee again.
Right.
I have an unlimited Zoom meeting account, without minutes.
But how do we approach MBI when our questions as the town of like we're entering, because you're putting test cases in to have clarification from MBI, like how do we?
We'll have to, let's cover that under 4A.
Yeah, when we get to that, I've got ideas about how we need to do a lot of end runs here, and let's work them out one by one.
Jesus.
Okay, having said that, okay, the next item on the agenda is review of minutes.
I got a couple of updates, which I have already put in from Jed. Thank you very kindly. Anybody else?
I had one and I lost it. Give me 1 second here.
Let me see if I can find the old screen share button.
Okay, I was gonna
Here
pull
we
mine up
are.
again.
Eh. Okay, seeing that?
Yes. Okay,
That's
give me
June
one.
20. Okay.
Well, let's do June. Did we approve June
Yes, we
13th?
did. We did.
Yeah,
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't last time. We did not.
Oh, I thought we had done that one.
No,
Okay,
we
well,
did
let me
not.
call that
not.
up then. Whoops. That's an agenda. No, that's not what I want. Go away. Come on, here we go.
got it.
Okay, is that up now or no?
That
No,
looks
not
like
yet.
June 20th.
Okay, we'll get back here. Okay, close that. Jeez, I hate this. Where's the damn screen share button now?
It'll be down the bottom.
No, it's not, because when I have
Yeah.
a thing up, it doesn't show.
Use that Mac. You got to change your view to.
Nope, that's not it.
In the meantime, can I ask Anne Marie if I have the stamped form from the town clerk's office, will that be valid once the committee is approved, or do I have to go get sworn in again?
It's not valid because the vote never happened. So that certificate's not valid. They'll reissue the certificate.
Right, so I'll have another trip to town hall. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I give up. I can't pull this thing up right now. Does anybody have any,
If you shut your screen sharing off, I might be able to
well, I'm trying to do that.
see
There
if
we
I can
go.
find it here in my mail.
Okay. Now let's put that up again. Now we should be able to find this. Come on. There, try that.
13 minutes
Yeah,
draft.
that's June 13th.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So my comments didn't get in there. You can see
What-
already.
What were they?
So look at 4B2. Meeting with CTAC, Mr. Dwyer, Mr. McCarty via
Uh-huh.
Zoom. That should say Dwyer, MacArthur, and McCarter and Johnson.
Ah, sorry, didn't know you were there. Okay.
You probably want to spell Brian's name correctly also.
Really? Did I spell your name wrong? McCarthy?
McCarter.
Yes.
Carter.
Okay.
And 4BII1. Yeah, gap round 2. So during this, I also commented during this period that MBI told us that they don't have a public comment period before issuing grant opportunities.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they told us on the call.
What?
Okay.
Jennifer,
Where-
when we brought this up, Jennifer told us on the call that they don't have a public comment period before they issue grant opportunities.
We might need to discuss that under gap round 2 during this call, because some thoughts on that.
Right, but that's what she told us. I'm
Where
just
would I-
stating what she told us.
Where
Right,
would
when
I
we brought up
put
that
that
we
here?
had made comments, she said that they don't have a public comment period before they issue grant opportunities.
Yeah, how do I fix this spelling there? Okay,
And then on number 3, co-funding, there was one other one, I guess it's now number 4. I believe Brian mentioned that if all the funding doesn't get dispersed as part of GAP round 2, it goes to the digital equity program.
I would have said that under BEAD. I don't know about GAP.
Oh, okay, so yeah, this might have been under B, both of these discussions.
I'm unsure of the excess funding rule for GAP.
Okay, all right, well, table that comment, Wendy.
yeah, because we've noted that in the past, so I don't know if we need to say it again.
Okay,
Anything else?
no, those are the comments I had on that one.
Okay. All right, I'll save those. Okay. And we'll put that away.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of June 13th.
Okay.
Second,
Okay.
Bob's on mute. Must,
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. And the
Any
20th,
opposed?
the 20th we also looked at and everybody's happy with those, with the changes that
Yeah, the
Jen-
one-
can I see that? I just want to see if the comments I made got in.
Yeah, I did put them in this morning just
Oh,
now.
okay, all right.
Okay, good.
Okay. The one comment I have under, it's under funding opportunities, BEAD challenge, number 2. CAI data need to be uploaded immediately. Mr. Dwyer will be doing this. What I'm doing right now is trying to do a pilot test with one organization to get that in. And to get
wait
the
a sec.
information.
That
Okay.
we're going to discuss that today, but we didn't know that at the time I took the notes of our meeting last time.
Just instead of doing this, we'll be starting this. How about that?
Well, okay. Let's see if I can find that again. Okay, minutes. And that would be here. Share this again. Come on, open up. Is it there? There we are. This 20th.
Right. Okay.
Okay, where are we?
Oh, the first block up there, under A, funding opportunities, 1B challenge. I'm gonna wait for you to stop. And then under number 2,
we
Mr.
go.
Dwyer will be starting this instead of doing this.
Will be starting this process. Yeah, okay.
That's enough. I have
Okay.
no other changes.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve these minutes as amended?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
all right.
Any
Okay.
opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay,
Okay,
very
we're
good. Okay, we'll go back to the agenda here. Okay, do we have any public correspondence? Anne Marie, is there anything?
Nope.
Okay. So we're gonna move forward. The first item on the number 4 is the continuing BEAD challenge.
Okay, go. I was gonna say, I have something to contribute when you're ready.
Oh, everybody does, I think.
Okay.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Okay, let me share my screen here for a minute and see if I can find where that is.
Go
Oh
off.
boy. There it is. Okay. So let's see. Share. Okay. If you have a look at this under the bead challenge guidelines, and I don't know, Brian, Jed, maybe you can tell me if I'm misreading this. What they talk about here is to qualify broadband unavailable at a community anchor institution. And if you notice, it says that the speed has to be not less than 1 gigabit per second, gigabit per second for downloads and uploads, and a latency of less than or equal to 100 milliseconds.
Yep, that's true.
So what I'm saying is, I don't think that our current provider, Comcast, has any facilities that can deliver that around here. So
Oh,
that
Correct.
would be
does.
in our-
And correct. And I got an addition from out of NTIA.
Okay, so, but I was,
Go
yes,
ahead.
so I mean, I think that's, I mean, I'm sure that I would be surprised if our library has a bi-directional 1 gigabit service, nor any of our public safety institutions, which they point out that, the public safety institutions, police department, fire department, et cetera, and medical facilities also, I think, are considered CAIs. They all have to have this ability to be able to not be challenged. So I think that's a point that if you all feel that's valid, I think that's something we can absolutely
Oh, yeah.
challenge.
Well, right, I buy all that. Remember that a lot of the town is connected to Open Cape. And I believe they're offering the 1 gig.
Is the library or are
I
they
don't
all-
know. I don't know about the
So,
library.
so
Go ahead,
I
Brian.
got a huge update out of MBI or out of NTIA. So MBI had sent us an email saying, yeah, we don't know this. We need to talk to NTIA. We've already recommended the Office of Economic Development initiate this conversation with NTIA. But, we had already run into the NTIA rep for the region in Rhode Island and Mass. And so I just called them and said, here's a technical question. MBI says they don't have it and they need to ask you. And they just haven't done it yet. And so we talked about, does the Open Cape count as gig service under the BEAD challenge for community anchors? And so the answer is yes, but Open Cape either was too small or too much of an enterprise product to have to submit under the FCC maps. So it comes down to what's on the MBI's map, and generally Open Cape is not on MBI's map since they weren't required to submit. So this is the one situation where less accurate maps are actually more helpful.
Pretty funny.
Right. So is there any way to reach out and find out what the speeds are at these various locations?
Well, we know they're not 1 gig up.
I don't know what Open Cape is offering.
No, now that Open Cape is excluded, is
Yeah,
not
right,
part of this
right, so then we
conversation.
know, right.
It's only Comcast or Verizon or fixed wireless or anything but like, even though we literally know Open Cape is touching Mass Maritime, it's on the map as unserved. So if we go building by building and Open Cape is not on that map, we're fine. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's just pretend that they're not there for the rules and how they are written per NTIA.
All right. So would that give Comcast a chance to rebut and say that it's served by someone else? I don't know. I mean, there's a whole rebuttal section in there, and I don't, it's written in a very complex manner.
Well, the rebuttals are to refute their own, what someone's saying about their service, but Comcast can't say they have 1 gig up.
I've not thought about John's question. Could Comcast put a challenge in that there is service by another provider?
Would
I'd have to reread the rules because
they might not have standing to do that.
I'll reread the rules to see if that's even a possibility. It's a fair question, but I have no idea if that angle is possible.
Just talking about CAIs in general, what is the practical benefit of spending a lot of time, which we really don't have, on trying to argue over a place that's serviced by, I would believe it's at least PON that Open Cape is offering, and they might have to go to GPON there in order to get 1 gig up, 1 gig down. What's the practical benefit to the town or our committee to argue about something that hopefully a relatively minor upgrade from Open Cape can fix? I would think it's all of the the unclassified ones that are all scattered around town that have nothing or next to nothing. Those are the ones that we really ought to pursue.
Right, I agree. I'm just saying that as a direct product of this, for instance, we are talking about improving service to the library. That's a big
Right.
priority. I don't
Right.
know whether or not they have 1 gig service. Something tells me they don't. So, I mean, right away, if you were to supply them with a higher grade of service, that means they can serve more people in the building and
Yes.
maybe exterior of the building at the same time, because 1 gig can handle a lot of clients. That's so I just think that is a direct way to like, hey, let's at least improve, do something.
Can we, it seems like Open Cape ought to know who they serve and what they what kind of service they provide. It's easy enough for one of us to run into the library and just sit down at their computer, put on speed test and run an Ookla speed test right from one of the terminals, and just see what they get.
It's academic. It doesn't matter what they get based on the way the rules are. It does. It's academic. It's an academic exercise.
Unless they have 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
The enterprise line could do 1,000 gigs. So, it comes down to what laser you put on it. It's a totally different product. And so only like the residential and more businessy type PON ones are required to submit under the maps, and not these enterprise products that are designed for enterprises. So they are not on the map as providing service. It does not matter. Open Cape's network does not matter for the CAI issue.
Okay.
Maybe Anne-Marie should speak, because I have something to say about the design and all that. It's a different issue.
It's just a quick question. I didn't know if places of worship are considered anchor institutions.
Depends. So the rules, if they're like doing addiction treatment and that kind of thing. So a lot of them host AA meetings, and that looks like it might make them a qualifying one. One of the weird ones I'm trying to put through right now is the boat landings under the public safety definition.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out what the proof is, because it's looking for registration docs. So I sent them the town website with them listed on there in lieu of registration. So the idea being, if we can use the town website as a source, of data source, it's already public, it's already done. We can do everything on the town website in bulk and be like, see town website here. And, because then we could pick up all the schools in one go, reference them. We could pick up all the fire stations in one go. We pick up the police stations in one go. We can do all that. So that's the test case I'm running. So if we get it right, any one building isn't going to add a ton of work. And B, it gets us laterals everywhere if there's any money left over under speed.
What about Gosnold?
That would definitely fit as I'm looking here at the list that they have, and that's a health clinic, health center, hospital, or other medical provider.
Yeah.
So Gosnold and then Five Corners.
Yeah,
I think-
absolutely. And that, remember, that gets this stuff at least into the neighborhood.
Yeah, the Atrius office on Technology Park Road also, or Drive, whatever they are. That
Just
big
needs a
ugly-
nurse.
Yep.
Nurse or above.
Yep.
Nurse, dentist, doctor.
Yep.
Even a
they
minute
have,
clinic with a nurse would
Yeah,
count.
they have several docs and all that. Sure.
I can read you the list from there. What they talk is, let's see, it starts with schools, libraries, health clinic, health center, hospital, or other medical provider, public safety entity, institution of higher education, public housing organization, community support organizations. Those are the areas that they talk about. And I don't know whether or not you could get some religious institution that also hosts public service in as under that aegis or not. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm trying to pursue some of the 12-step programs around, and we've got 5 that operate out of the Pecasset Village Association building. Okay, so I'm trying to go through the process of getting documentation for them. There's 2 or 3 that are listed in what appears to be the Baptist church. So I've got a call into them, but haven't gotten a call back. So my guess is that there are going to be a number of these around that host at least some of these organizations. So, it's certainly worth a try. You've got to name the organization, I think, as proof that they're actually offering these services, though. And that's been the bugaboo. I've talked to somebody at, just in Pecasset at St. John's and at the 2 Methodist churches, and I don't have a contact, haven't gotten information back from them yet. So, again, how much do we pursue these? I'm going to just pursue the ones that are not likely to be along the right next to Open Cape or along the Verizon FiOS lines, because we're going to run out of time here. I think Brian's strategy to get all of the town operated ones via the reference to one town website is wonderful. For these others, it's individual piece by piece.
Yeah, and the other argument is the water, so it's the town's edges. So if we can get all the public safety items in, because people have died at our boat landings, so
Yes,
it's
they
a
have.
public safety concern for a coastal town. So priority should go to the places furthest from Open Cape's backbone for sure.
When the police boat or somebody brings in an emergency, that's where they bring them in. And that's where the ambulance meets up with them. So that should count.
But yeah, for designing this, we want to, the more coastal, the better of the CAIs, because everything along the way gets gig service. So, yeah, start at the water and work your way in.
Okay, well, let's leave CAIs for now. I think we've got a decent approach. If everybody wants to nominate institutions and maybe we can bring them together and just share a spreadsheet, pass a spreadsheet around. I don't think that's deliberating. That's gathering information.
Quick procedural question on that. If I take my laptop over to the doctor's office and try to sign in and do it from there, does that count, or do they have to do it from their computer?
We don't. You just need to identify the services they provide from there. The speed that they sign on, as Brian pointed out, is irrelevant. Okay.
Yeah.
Because so you don't need to do that.
So all I have
we
to
know
do is
we know if they have Verizon on. So there's only 2 things you need. You just check if Verizon FiOS is listed on MBI's map at their location, and if no, we don't need to do. Well, we don't need to do any speed testing in either case, because we know FiOS can do gig up and down, and if we know it's not there, we know Comcast cannot do a gig up. So there's basically no circumstance where a speed test will have to be done at a CAI for the CAI portion. If they want to do it as a speed challenge, area challenge, that's it just goes through the same process as everybody else.
Okay. I'm gonna just cut off the discussion on CAIs and just urge everybody to by the time we actually are allowed to meet, and we're going to have to scramble very quickly, list what you think are CAIs, focus on areas where Verizon is not likely to be serving in the near future, and essentially everything south of Monument Beach, and I would presume over towards Sagamore and Sagamore Beach. Try to get the names of those. If you can think of get a call into them and ask what kind of services are provided out of that institution to other organizations. I've got community services broadly. I mean, elder services. It can be. I'm going to list the Boy Scout troop that's in the PVA building, etc. Just put them all in, and all they can say is no, and then we fight that later on. But we've got to get the list in. Okay. Okay. Any other comments on CAIs?
We're going to send that list to you, Bob.
No. Individually, if you know places you have some kind of a contact, try to make a contact yourself, because
Okay.
if we can't operate until the 16th, that gives us 5 days to get all of this together.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just need to start putting them in because we need to put them in because of the rolling process. We need MBI to reject some of us and tell them why. So that's why I'm starting with a single item and put it in and tell me I'm wrong and tell me why so that I can fix it for the bulk upload. You know, and I asked them for a CSV to upload. So if we're going to be doing a lot of them, just give it to them in their format to save them some headache.
Okay.
Right. Brian, if you've got a sample CSV with the headings, if you want to circulate that to everybody so we know what the columns are at least.
If they reveal it, I'm going to send it to the whole Cape.
Okay. Yes, that will come out on I presume on July 19th.
Yeah. Maybe the 21st.
Don't say that out
Right.
loud. They might be helpful.
Yeah, one would hope. Okay.
Russia, if you're listening, we dare you.
And Anne Marie's got a
Okay.
question about this.
Go ahead, Anne Marie. I can't see
So
her
if I
face.
walk into an anchor institution, what exactly am I asking for?
What kind of
What
community
specifically?
services? What kind of community services do they provide out of that institution, and where might an internet connection be helpful? Do they have you've heard of talk about 12-step programs meeting there? Do they have
Yeah.
any other bringing the community together under their roof, where access to the internet would be helpful? And you don't have to talk about the speed at all.
The
But-
proof they are CAI is the wording. So, and then they give a list in the documents of like what you can do to prove that they are CAI. That's what you're trying to get out of them. Proof they are a community anchor institution.
Brian,
And
can
then-
you
So I ask this information and they say yes to everything. Then what?
The documents to prove that they are a CAI. So like there's different categories, public safety, there's like 5 or 6 different categories and you need some kind of proof. So one thing they reference without a lot of detail is organization documents. So
Okay.
I guess if it's like a foundation and their mission, their charter, that kind of document to say, hey, we do public good for people with the, medical something.
So we need some kind of documentation indicating that whatever entity they serve.
And I'm on Eastern time, so just dial my cell phone and I'll pull up the form and we'll help figure out what will work.
Right. So here's the evidence right here. It is spelled out in the MBI guide.
Yeah, registration doc that. So the weird one is contacts information to confirm CAI status. I don't know what that means, but I'm wondering if it's leave their phone number, then call them up and say, are you a medical facility? And they say yes. So I don't know if they have call-in or one of the other ones calling them. So I guess probably leave their phone number.
For instance, let's pick one down the street here, the Baptist Church in Pecasset. I would presume you put their the parish phone number and the name of the pastor, or they may have an office there, an office manager. Just list that down. So you got the name of the entity, the address. Okay. Registration documents. God help us.
I have
So
no
the
idea.
weird ones are when they're not even on the MBI's map. It was a completely separate process of getting them added. So that's one of the things I'm testing, because that one requires emailing MBI the coordinates, the address, and the proof all in one go. So if they're not on there, I'm still testing that process with MBI. So collect all the same documents, but we might email it in instead of put it through the portal.
And I don't know what the eligibility for FCC E-rate or rural health care program is. I have no idea what that is. You just have to probably say not eligible.
That health clinic that's next door on Technology Park Drive, that big ugly brown building, there's a low-income health clinic in there as well.
And I just don't know what they mean by E-rate, but I'm assuming it's some kind of break that's given for rural healthcare programs, and I don't know how they define that, and we may not be defined as rural. I'm not sure.
Sean Gross owes me a favor, so he was telling me about some of their buildings in Dartmouth are FCCE rates. So I could maybe ping him and ask him, where do I go looking for FCCE rate information? I'll text them right now.
Okay, and frankly, a lot of these institutions may not even be aware that this program exists and have never even applied. Yeah, so telling them that they're eligible is, well, who knows? Okay, Anne Marie, is that enough to go from for CAIs? My guess is for a big institution that they have an about just a web page that says about who are we, what do we do? A screenshot of that might be sufficient, or just a reference to that web page might be sufficient. I think it's a little it's going to be very difficult to go and get the charter for some of these organizations.
Wouldn't they have it usually on their website, or just have it handy?
They might have just a short description, but some of the legal documents, what are they talking about? A state ST2 form or something that proves that they're a charity.
I think that's why we need to just grab one manually and see what we get, put it into MBI, and call them, because they hop on one of their webinars or something, their office hours, and hope and pray that they answer the Q&As.
Right. Okay.
And if they don't answer us, we need to pressure them again with our congressional delegation to tell them they're not coughing up answers to legitimate questions.
Right. Okay, I'm going to terminate conclude the discussion on CAIs. Again, everybody just try to populate some kind of a spreadsheet with as much information as you can about some of these ones that you're going to nominate, and probably give a call to Brian to figure out exactly how to submit this, and just go ahead and submit it. I don't see anything that needs to be to go through the committee to do this. Okay, moving forward to speed testing. Get my screen just shut off. There've been a couple of weekly calls with the team from Open Cape. There was one that was online yesterday, and Rob Bateman from Open Cape said that their media kit is out. I don't know if some of you may have seen some of the social media posts. I've seen some on Instagram telling people to go to the Fix Cape internet website. Rob said they've already got about 200 or 300 tests that have done already, and a goodly number are coming up, at least for the initial test, as unserved. So that will continue. I've asked Rob, and it's going to arrive today or tomorrow, to send me 500 of the I guess they're postcard size flyers for particularly unserved areas. It might be worthwhile going door to door. I'm going to hand some out. There's a parade here in Pecasset on Saturday. I'm going to hand those out. If anybody's available to hand them out. When is the town 4th of July parade?
On the 4th.
On the 4th. Okay.
Quick question. Did Open Cape, has anyone contacted Town Hall with that specific Open Cape to post on the town website?
We just all got personal emails. I don't know how they found me, and they actually found my wife first, then it showed up in my mailbox. And I've done the test once with them and twice with MBI.
Right, but this media kit, is that something that can be posted on the town website?
Well, you would probably be the person to answer that, because usually they're pretty resistant to us posting anything.
But when we had this conversation, when Bob presented at the select board meeting, we agreed that the town administrator would work with Open Cape in helping with the speed test challenge. So
Wendy,
we
yeah,
need
Wendy can,
exactly, should I reach out to Jen?
Wendy, can you look at the Open Cape, at the website for this and look at the media kit?
Yep.
And just find something that's appropriate to take out of that and to post on the town website. And then
Okay.
just send that off to, probably just directly to Marlene.
Yeah, and exactly, specifically what you want. Is it going to be a link? Is it, what do you want it to say? And specifically, you know, and that will get posted.
The
Okay.
important thing
other-
is, go ahead, Anne Marie.
The other thing I do know is that there's been outreach to Upper Cape to send out a mass mailing as well with the particular link for the media kit, because they have obviously some a lot of contacts both with adult education and their program, their high school program, so they can reach a lot of people. So I do know that there's been some communication with the superintendent to also send out that link as well.
Is it, Anne Marie, do you think it's worthwhile for me to contact Chris Oliver and ask for him to send things out for summer programs, leaders of summer programs for the school system?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I will, Wendy, find something appropriate if you can out of the media kit.
Mhm.
Forward that to me, and then I'll forward that or call Chris Oliver, who's the technology specialist. See if he
Okay.
can send that out. Find the right person to send out.
Okay.
By the way, for any committee members who want any copies of these flyers, I don't know all your home. I know a couple of the people's home addresses, but beginning probably Friday afternoon or Saturday, I'll have them at my house, 25 Kenwood Road. Just come on by and grab a pile. I will try to see if I've got other obligations over 4th of July weekend, but I'll see if I can show up at the parade and then hand things out there. We'll see what kind of, uptake we get.
I'm sorry, you'll have those on Saturday?
I should have them tomorrow because I have
Okay.
to hand them out. I have to hand them out on Saturday. So
Okay.
I'll just put them in a box on my front porch, somewhat
Okay.
weatherproof, given the weather we've had. The one other point, just to clear up, I sent an email to everybody. I had attempted to get permission to hand out the flyers at the Historical Society's Strawberry Festival, which would have been a great opportunity, but their board members pointed out that Comcast is a supporter of that event and that organization. So they were worried about biting the hand that feeds them, so to speak. So I withdrew the request just because it would have to go to a full vote of their board.
So
So
they hadn't heard directly from Comcast that there would be retaliation. They were just worried about it.
they were worried about it. It's Comcast and BCTV are supporters of the organization, donors, and they were worried about it. They're worried in general. I heard from somebody at BCTV and that in the switch to essentially fiber for everybody would mean a lot of people would be cord cutting the cable connection that they have to Comcast. And I said, that's a discussion for another day. And it certainly would be something that our committee could recommend to the select board, is that for anybody who's expanding service, that they also consider contributing to BCTV, like Verizon. So again, that's a discussion we can have for another day, but right now they really didn't want to get in the way of having a problem with Comcast in the immediate future. So their decision, but Anyway, that was 800 people who attended the Strawberry Festival, so that would have been a decent opportunity.
Big Comcast sponsors a lot of things, so we might need to just guerrilla hand them out and not ask for permission because they're just going to muddy the water.
Yeah,
Well, that's the
their
thing, you
well-
know, if they're there and then they're at the concerts in Buzzards Bay, they've got money to throw around, and that if everybody bows down to that, they're going to buy their way right out of this problem, and that's
Well, the
yeah.
Strawberry Festival was a real special case because that was all on private property. Okay. Whereas, you know, the concerts in Buzzards Bay, that's a public park.
I understand that, but we've already gotten some pushback from the select board about saying anything mean or otherwise denigrating to Comcast, and wouldn't this be seen as part of that?
No,
No, we're
handing
just
out
asking for people who
open
don't have
speed
service.
Well,
Or aren't.
I'm with you on that. I agree, but you know, we have in fact had that kind of pushback.
saying things that are true. Open Cape is running speed tests.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with the truth. Like if
Right,
you're saying the
plus,
truth, it's fine. There's no issues there.
I'm
And
with you on that.
Open Cape's always handing out flyers
Mhm.
about their service and
Yeah.
what they offer. So
Yeah.
I don't understand why that's an issue.
I'm
Well,
with you.
let's again, let's power forward and wait till for somebody to complain. If we're on public property, there's no problem whatsoever,
Exactly.
as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Any other contacts that you think we can make to get people to do speed tests? If I'm going to try through 2 or 3 community associations. Monument Beach, Beth Grillo is the head of the Monument Beach Association. She said she's going to be asking people to identify when they're signing up for FiOS, and you know, kind of aggregating information about how that service is doing. And I said, I told her in advance of this that I'd be contacting her to have her non-FiOS customers run speed tests, or even FiOS customers run speed tests. So that would be a useful exercise, I think.
Well, Bob,
Yes.
just an update from my end of town. So been talking it up in my neighborhood. So lately our speeds have been pretty solid. I've been measuring 23 up and 96 down. I've been testing every day. I had one bad day, which was the last time we met, where I only got 60 something down. So I reported that result, but every day since then, and everybody in the neighborhood has got solid speeds.
Yeah, I've been running 150, 170 most of the time, but the other day I do a speed test not on the official submission sites just to see whether it's worth it to submit them.
Exactly.
I-
Yeah, that's,
and I-
yeah, that's
and
what we
I-
do too.
And I did one, I found one of 17 down and 2 up, and I sent those in right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Should they be prioritizing the network to areas that are actively in the challenge? Is that possible?
I don't think they have the capacity to really make that work. I'll just note that in my neighborhood, the Comcast has always been solid. I can't find anyone complaining about it. That's always been the case. And so, you know, now that this is going on, we're looking at it, and again, it's always been solid here.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, it's still
Yeah.
worthwhile. Just test early, test often. I think that's the
Absolutely.
message.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. Still doing it, but I'm just saying we're not reporting anything because we don't have any bad reports.
Yeah.
Wait till July 4th.
Yeah.
I
For that
guess.
weekend.
I
Right.
mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Another thing I pointed out, I think I sent you an email out, is that some of the bills do not, my Comcast bill, many times it just shows the plan. It doesn't show the speeds. The latest bill I have online right now, and I can share it if you want. I'll show you what it.
No, I've seen that too, John. You don't,
Yeah.
you don't have to go that
Yeah.
far. So Comcast has gone, they've gone to a different format now where they have these different packages by name. I
Mhm.
think the one I have is called Connect More. So basically what I think this was all a reaction to the you know, the form that they had to use in order to report every single package. So they have them all now on a central website, and then they refer your bill, the name of the package on your bill to the website, so they don't have to carry that on every bill.
Right. So can you see your average senior citizen knowing how to do that or wanting to bother to do that? That's the thing.
Well, it's not that, I guess, but it wasn't that hard to do. But I hear what you're saying. I'm
Right,
just
I'm just thinking that
saying that
people are
what
gonna
they're
have to-
doing, it fits the letter of the law. And they're basically centralized. It looks like almost nationwide. They now have one set of plans that they apply across all their properties.
Okay, I just brought that up because mine just says now, last month said nothing. This one says download as fast as 500 megabits per second. There's no upload speeds listed.
Right, you have to click through.
Right. I got to go to Xfinity My Account
Yeah,
to be able to get that. And people that get paper bills probably don't even, well, I'm not sure they're aware that they can go online and get it.
who knows? Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that if that data is missing, that people either don't give up or that MBI will allow for that. If someone says, well, I don't know.
Well, I'll note that whenever I do an MBI report, it doesn't ask for the bill. It only asks me for what package I have.
Okay, the one that, well, yeah, right. It asks for I did the MBI and the Open Cape. Open Cape asked for what my quoted speeds were.
Correct, yep.
So,
Yep.
you know, if
The
some people,
MBI one has a drop down and you pick which package you have,
Mhm.
but none of them ask for the bill.
Yeah, my MBI site says that my house is under the tribal funding thing. Said, really?
Yeah. I emailed them about that error a while ago and haven't heard anything back. So that's
No,
one of the things
well, they
we need to
haven't changed
pressure
it as
them
of this morning.
about. Yeah, it's covering most of Bourne all the way halfway down Wing's Neck, and then it stops for some reason. So it
Yeah,
seems
I
like
saw
it's a
that on the
mapping
map.
error.
Well, I mean, they did steal the land from the Indians, but still, I don't think that counts for purposes of this discussion. They also list our services 0.2 over 0.2, which is pretty low
Oh.
bar.
Yeah, we
That's
saw that.
FWA. So we weren't expecting any FWA to be
Yeah.
on the map. It turns out that it was a wrong assumption.
Hmm.
Some of the fixed wireless was removed from the map, and then they had to pre-challenge the challenge to put it back. And so if you see in point 2, you know, it's not going to make a particle of difference. But there are places where fixed wireless got in at, you know, 100 by 100 or whatever. So there are certain parcels that even if you challenge the Comcast, they have fixed wireless already there. So that adds probably 10 or 15% to the amount of data places we got to collect from to be sure we don't run into that issue.
Mhm.
All right, ready to move on, Bob?
Hang on. Sorry about that. Just one question about the documentation of speed. If we were to go ahead and just reference the plan that Comcast says they provide, we don't have to actually go and download the website that lists that plan, right? Because MBI can do that themselves. Yes?
That's my understanding. I mean, I've been
One would
putting
think.
speed tests in, just indicating what plan I have, and they take them.
Okay.
So technically the rules say you need an attestation of the speed, and the bill is merely an example of said attestation. So, you know, them telling MBI the exact plan name, and MBI already knows everyone's plan name, is probably enough. And it's their tool, so whatever their tool does is compliant. So
There is an
it's when we-
attestation on the page. You have to check a box that says you're attesting to all of that before you submit it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Moving on. American Connection Corps. I presume everybody read the email traffic on that. Again, the county administrator basically said that they have not applied or been approached at all to host American Connection Corps member. And I sent her another email asking, would they be interested if a way forward were found? And I haven't gotten a response back on that yet. In any case, it looks like there's no immediate opportunity there. I would suggest, since Brian said we have put in the application beforehand, so I guess we qualify for a position. I suggest we table that until after the July 16th, because we've got a lot of other things to do. And then if it looks like it's a possibility, we pursue that further. I don't, Brian, do you remember from Scott McFarland whether they are actually starting to solicit for resumes from
Yes.
students?
Yeah, they know they got roughly 10 positions in Massachusetts. They just don't know who's hosting them. So they are gonna probably have 10 bodies, and so if we don't grab it, one of them's not gonna come to the Cape.
Okay.
I think we should just recommend that we move forward on it as a town, unless the county decides to step in and do it. You know, I don't know, because we're about to not be a committee for like 2 weeks. So do we have to make a recommendation now to not, miss the boat on it?
I don't think it will even make the agenda for a select board meeting between now and the 16th, to be honest. Is that correct, Anne Marie? Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, the outreach might be better with the county to try to get them to solicit.
Brian, maybe the thing to do is we can connect the county administrator, Ms. Albert, with Scott McFarland in wherever he is in Iowa, and just see if they can talk to each other and see if she is interested in hosting one of those. Does that make sense?
A reference to Steve Tupper in there as well. So do we?
Well, no, well, no. The AmeriCorps is hosted by the county government, and the commission is just one department of the county government. So I'm sure she would talk to him, but at the same time, it's in general, do they want to add another position? I think that's a philosophy, and then how to use them, I think it is a discussion that would happen later with Tupper or maybe some of the other folks around the county.
That makes sense. Yeah, we should pursue with them for sure, because they have the housing arrangement. I think they just didn't realize that the deadline wasn't so strict as, and we were in ahead of it. So, and
right,
the Connection Course said they were okay with that we might, apply now and have the body go to a different entity. They were totally okay with that situation. They just needed to know kind of in their head roughly where things were going, so they recruited enough people from Massachusetts.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll find a home for this guy or woman whenever. But I think I'm going to table that until after the 16th. And Jed, if you want to just note that down for our next meeting after the 16th. My guess is if we're appointed on the night of the 16th, I would like to meet at dark 30 on the morning of the 17th as a committee. Because we only have 3 days to finish up whatever we've got to do.
So just a couple of things here. I think that we all have to be sworn in before we can meet.
Right.
And I also think we have to be an official committee before we can post an agenda.
Right, which means we'd run out of time.
Yeah.
We're out of time.
48
What a
hours.
surprise.
I'm
so-
hoping that maybe Anne Marie can talk. I mean, there's a meeting on July 2nd. I mean, how long would it take to approve the committee appointments? 5 minutes. If they could add it into the agenda, that would be all that it would take. And then we could all go down and get sworn in again.
And just leave the discussion of the modification of the charter to later. I mean, you can modify the charter of any committee at any time.
Right.
At the at the will of the committee, at the will of the select board.
I'll have that conversation with Mary Jane. She wanted to be on this meeting this morning, but she had she is in services for a death in the family, her sister-in-law. So
So meanwhile,
yeah.
Bob, I think our next meeting would be July 25th, and that assumes that we all get sworn in by then.
Okay, and the horse is well out of the barn by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anne Marie, you see the criticality of the timing here. And again, certainly the changes to the charter or the whatever our charge is to the committee can certainly happen afterwards with a little more time for leisurely discussion.
Mhm.
So I've got a question, because with open meeting law and committee law, I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to throw something out here, and it might be a bad idea, and please tell me if it's a horrible idea. But if we are not a committee again until the 25th, the challenge window of doing anything, having any deliberation, and discussion will have passed, because everything after that is rebuttals by the providers and stuff we have no control over whatsoever, and would not be a matter appearing before our committee. If, while we are not a committee and discussing matters that will not appear before the committee, are we free to talk about things that aren't going to appear before this committee ever again?
Yeah, we can talk about anything we want, Brian, because we're not a committee. We can be having meetings and doing all this same stuff.
Because the challenge stuff isn't going to appear before our committee again, because the window will have closed to deliberate, discuss, and do anything on that. So it would be a topic that's no longer on our agenda ever again.
Yeah,
by the time
we're
it's
not going to be
reformed.
a committee. We're not going to be a committee until I think we actually have to meet and create, elect officers before we're officially a committee.
So do we just run wild with the challenge like we need to? Because we
we just
Yeah.
can't be representing the town. We can't do anything through the town, but we can operate as independent citizens.
Yeah, but then we have to submit through some official organization according to the rules.
Or we can
You
find somebody else.
You can submit through Open Cape.
Right.
Yeah.
And MBI.
Or-
so that's not going to be a problem for the we got to submit through anybody, because we need to use the portals we have already.
But again, for data, Open Cape is going to do a mass submittal once they start aggregating the tests that are done through their site. So, we don't have to worry about that. They already list, the towns as participants in the whole thing.
More an issue for the CAIs, because we need to start testing CAI cases with MBI as the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this. So this isn't good. Like this is like I'm grasping at straws here, but this isn't a good situation to be put in, because we kind of have things we need to do that we need to be a qualified submitter to be doing.
Mhm. And this is not our fault.
How is the portal set up for the CAI?
Qualified submitters request a portal, a master organization gets created, and then it's already created for Bourne, and
Who created
They
it
give
for
us-
Bourne?
put in an application just to have one for Bourne, just to see the process, so that the select board could recommend the town manager do it and know what the steps are. And MBI just created it. They said, okay, whatever. Bourne's okay.
So is Marlene aware that this portal was created? I mean, the select board's not aware that this portal was created as a town.
It's in our minutes.
Yeah, that who authorized to create the portal to represent the town?
I think 2 meetings back, we said we recommended the select board recommend to Marlene to create the portal, and we we're just checking what the process was so we could give Marlene the instructions to do so once the select board took care of that. Did the item never make it onto the select board agenda?
I'm trying to figure out. So has a portal been created?
Anne-Marie, what Brian did, he did a test to see what would be involved. Again, giving the complaints after the 5 hours of time to fill out the cost quest form. We wanted to test to see how much effort is actually involved, so we could let Marlene know if it was going to be a problem. So he started the process, and MBI basically said, "Oh, Bourne, okay, you're approved," and just did that right away.
They just did it.
Okay, but how is Marlene aware that it exists? Because the
Who
select board
knows?
isn't aware it exists. I'm just hearing about it now.
We've discussed the last couple of meetings.
No,
Yeah.
I know that. I know we discussed it.
And
But-
you're our liaison to the board. You're on the board. So they were put on notice through you.
And we recommended
I will.
Marlene
I'm gonna.
open it.
I'll just send an email to Marlene and said, just explain again, trying to minimize the amount of times town staff had to do it. Brian did a test just to see what was involved. MBI saw the test, saw it, accepted it, and just said, okay, Bourne is approved. And I think it's pretty pro forma.
We were shocked, actually. Shocked, really. I was just testing to see the form, see how simple it was. Just, okay, this is all you got to put in, town website, phone number, entity, you know, very, very, very short. And they just approved it like within a day.
Okay. So
Yeah.
does there need to be like a point of contact? Or,
There are multiple. We're all on it.
I
We can
was-
make sub accounts. As long as MBI recognizes the people, they will give them an account. They won't give them to anybody. So if they don't know who you are, they'll send an email saying, who the heck are you? And,
Okay.
you know,
And then
so,
I can tell them.
so Joe Schmo can't get an account as the town by accident.
no, I understand that, but
So
what
just
happens if a phone call comes into town hall? For whatever reason, I'm not saying it's going to happen, or in any case scenario, a phone call comes in town hall and they're like, say, what are you talking about?
I'll be on Cape Friday. You tell them, call me and I will fix it.
But,
I'll work with the
that would
person to
be-
fix the problem.
that would
Yeah.
be similar to any other phone call that comes in. It gets delegated off to a department or a committee.
Right,
That'd be
right.
something that'll show up as public correspondence the next
Right.
time we meet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what Brian is saying is that the portal was created almost by accident. He was just trying to see if it would work so he could write down the procedure. And before he even had a chance to finish, it said you're approved.
Yeah. I figured if like a contract was going to come in that was like, okay, you're a qualified submitter, sign this contract, and we're going to have to send it to, you know, Marlene
Right,
and the select
right,
board to write it.
right.
I thought it was going to be like a huge ordeal. And so
Yeah.
it's like with everything with MBI, it's always hard. So, okay, let's like get the ball rolling,
It started, yeah.
see what it is. And they just approved it. And I was like, oh, that's unexpected. Really. It was really unexpected.
Okay.
I thought a contract was going to come in that was going to need to be executed.
But you know, if smart people will say, fine, we'll take it.
so, okay, and this is the portal that is strictly for the CAIs and to upload the CAIs, right? We get additional
We could also
CAIs.
manually put speed tests in. That's the other capability. So if
We
we
could
want to
send
do
them
the
a-
manual,
Yeah, we could do it individually, manually if we needed to.
it doesn't have many capabilities, but you can upload, you know, speed tests done on third-party software.
Right, I've seen that. Yeah, I've been on the website and I did the workshop, so.
But
I-
yeah,
I-
basically CAIs is all we're going to be using it for, and maybe a few parcels pop in a speed test because we, you know, happen to catch it on a third-party tool instead of, you know, whatever circumstances.
Okay,
But that's all it can do. Can't sign up the town to do anything. Doesn't get it.
no,
into-
that was,
yeah.
yeah, that was, I was getting
Yeah,
And
at.
it,
there's
do-
no-
and
there's
it
no
doesn't
financial
obligate the
con-
town for anything.
Yeah, there's no financial involvement.
No,
in
I
any way,
understand that.
you
I
know,
just
so.
want to make sure,
Mm.
yeah, that.
They need to
Essentially
understand
moving
that.
info from, you know, us to MBI of speed
During
data
this
or
challenge.
public CAI info that they don't have during the challenge. Yeah, it's not, doesn't really do anything else. So,
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah.
With regards to Open Cape, does anyone know what their intention might be if in fact, you know, they find a bunch of holes, there's areas that are definitely underserved? The reason I ask this question is we know that they have really not been inclined to be last mile providers. And I would think that most of the problems we're going to see here are last mile related. So I'm wondering whether or not they're, you know, they made any commitment to, okay, yeah, we'll serve these streets or these individual residences, or are they just looking for, you know, MDUs and public buildings?
Doesn't really matter at this point, their motivations. They've popped up a portal to help everybody. They've kept the issue neutral enough that the Cape Cod Commission has signed off. I know they had some back and forth about the language and all that, that this had to be very neutral, you know, data collection for accuracy of Cape Cod. And so it also kind of doesn't matter Open Cape's endgame here, because once the maps are changed, anybody can come in. You know, Verizon can say, I will take a BEAD grant. Comcast can say, I'll build fiber and give you a BEAD. You know, anybody opens up Tilson could all of a sudden come back as Boundless and says, we'll do it, we'll take a BEAD grant. So like it basically creates a feeding frenzy of all the providers because it's 75% of the money is already paid for. So it moves your economics to being fantastic. And so it would be like throwing chicken in the water full of piranhas, effectively.
I got
So-
it. That
Yeah,
makes sense. I just was concerned only because we know in the past that Open Cape has, garnered funds and they haven't always gone to the areas that we feel are most underserved. They did a lot of stuff in downtown Buzzards Bay, and they hand out flyers at the concerts or whatever, but I haven't seen anything over on this side of the bridge.
Well, just like
what's-
GAP, they would need a letter of support from the town as part of the BEAD funding proposal. So if at that time we don't agree with the tactics, we can always, say that in a formal
There-
letter signed off by the town.
Right now, with regard to the speed testing, again, they have partnered with the Cape Cod Commission, and Steve Tupper made sure his crew were very diligent in reviewing the media kit, et cetera, to make sure it stays and it appears neutral. Otherwise, the commission couldn't participate. What's going to happen real time is that their data folks, David Still, et cetera, are going to be watching the maps as they populate. And as these census block groups start to show up with multiple underserved, or maybe 5 underserved, and they need one more, he's going to get the word out to try to find people who can do testing, or get more people to do testing in those groups. So hopefully there's something real time in this arrangement between Open Cape and the commission and us that's going to try to fill some of these gaps. When it comes to the funding applications, after everybody survives the rebuttals and everything else, the funding applications, that's going to be decisions to start to discuss in September. Brian, is that about right? Is that the schedule?
I don't even know off the top of my head, given how much there is to do. I'm worried about July problems right now.
Yeah, exactly. But the funding grant applications go out months from now. Let's put it that way, as opposed to hours from now, which is the schedule we're working on.
Well,
Okay,
October 20th, right, is the complete end of the BEAD challenge.
that's the end of the challenge.
They submit to NTIA, so I
By
guess
the 20th.
the grant would
October
be shortly
28th.
thereafter.
According
Grant
to the site I'm looking at, it's October 28th, the submission of final map data to NTIA.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's
I
And
doubt
when
any
they get
application
it
process will start prior to that.
Yeah, the grant applications will all be, fourth quarter then, easily, maybe into 25.
Is
Okay.
there some way to get feedback as to how they're proceeding on what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, we're going to have to pressure them for a few things. So to look at our test cases, to answer questions. I'm sure we can make a list and bring that up, because anytime we do get a meeting with MBI, they like their question list in advance. So maybe, Wendy, you want to start keeping a master questions list for MBI, and we will,
Okay,
add that one to
Okay.
it.
send me the other ones you have, because I haven't been doing that.
Sure.
I am, my personal opinion is that we ought not to rely on getting prompt feedback from MBI on just about anything. Hopefully these test cases, they'll give us a yes or a no before the end of the testing period. If they don't do that, then it's going to be open season on them as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I'm going to move forward. Wendy, you're going to take a look at their media kit and find out what is appropriate for more for public distribution.
Yep.
I'll have 500 of these flyers that are going to be available at my house for anybody who wants to come and distribute them in neighborhoods or at events. And we'll get some more in time for the concert on the 11th. Okay, I think there's 11th and 18th. 18th is a little tight, but we can give it a try. Okay, moving on to item D, liaison with the Tech Council. The
Actually,
tech council,
one quick thing on the challenge. MBI has office hours today, so we have a couple questions from this call. We could hop onto that next.
That's
And
1 hour. One
Yes.
freaking hour.
Brian, can you handle that? I've got urgent business over at
Sure.
my sandwich problem child.
Yeah, and I won't be
Uh,
able to make that either. So
all right, send
Have a
me your
ball.
question from today, and I will pop it into the chat with MBI today and try to get an
Okay.
answer.
Well, the crucial question that I want to add in is what do they consider proof of the service we're subscribing to for Comcast? Is it just the name of the plan? Is that good enough?
Are you talking about the speed test challenge?
And the speed test challenge, yes.
Yeah, on the MBI website, there's a drop down. You just select your service from the drop down menu. And then for the one the Open Cape one, they just want your speeds. You just put in the speeds
Yep.
and then you attest to that.
Okay. As long as that's sufficient, that we're great there.
They need to be working. I've done both and they've no squawking.
Okay. I've only done the Open Cape ones. I've done 2 of those so far. One below,
Yeah.
one above.
yeah, I do
okay.
a couple every day.
Okay. Next item is liaison with the Tech Council. The Tech Council has only been really reports out from Open Cape and the Cape Cod Commission about their activities to get this portal up and the media kit out. So there was really nothing more than a discussion of that, and a lot of Outer Cape towns are just hearing about this and trying to get up to speed. So not much new information has come back towards this committee. The same app is with the Broadband Coalition. They were trying to solicit the towns that show up for the Broadband Coalition. I recommended if they take a look at MBI's portal immediately, and if they didn't think that was sufficient, I suggested that they talk to Open Cape about the possibility of maybe subcontracting with their testing contractor so that they could use something like Open Cape's aggregation software to do something for towns that are off Cape. They approached Open Cape, and Open Cape said really they didn't have time or bandwidth to be able to work this out at the last minute here. Let's see, any other activities in other towns at all, Jed?
I mean, the only thing I ever see going on is in Falmouth. So the MLP, the new version of the MLP is starting regular meetings. They met last night. Big item on the agenda is their strategy. What are they going to do? They got to come up with something out of it. I think they may just end up waiting until the comparison study comes out of Falmouth Net. I did notice on their agenda something about the speed test challenge. I think it might have been prompted by my email to David. I don't know that they're going to be able to do anything at this late date. And they're also starting digital equity planning. I guess they may pursue that. Again, it's really unclear if they're going to do anything with any of that stuff. They're just starting to discuss it now.
I put the stuff up on the Falmouth Citizens Facebook page also. The same stuff I'm putting on the Bourne page, so people are at least starting to see it.
Right. I think the important thing is to get out as much information about the 2 websites for testing, the MBI and the Open Cape one, and just get that in front of as many eyeballs as possible for some of these towns. And again, we're frankly much farther ahead on trying to do the bead testing than anybody else on the Cape is, at least as an organization. So I don't know where to go from there. Okay. Well, next meeting and future agenda items. That all depends on whether they can do a quickie reappointment for the well, now it's down to the 5 of us, and we need 2 more. So we're getting close to not even having a quorum here, at least with the people who have sought reappointment.
Well, the quorum is going to be 3. In fact, quorum now is 3.
Is the quorum 3 or is it
The quorum is 4 because the committee in the charge is a 7-member committee.
Oh, really?
So
Okay,
the
so even
quorum
though
is
we have
still-
vacancies?
No, it doesn't matter. The
Okay.
charge is a 7-member committee, so the
Oh,
quorum
okay.
stays at 4.
Okay, good to know.
But
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Bob,
So
I was thinking maybe, once we start to reformulate again, we can have you and I some email exchanges on an agenda and work on getting something posted as soon as we reformulated.
right? I think that's the way to go. And
Okay.
Anne Marie, if you can get back to us and let us know whether there's a possibility of having us getting us reappointed quickly, and we can have a later discussion about changes to our charge. That can be done at a later date, and that's probably going to be shaped a lot by what the outcome of the speed testing is. So
Oh,
it'll be
yes.
useful to have that inform where this committee goes.
And seeing as we're already going there, if they had any changes to make in our charge, they're going to take too long to talk about it.
Well, certainly
Seriously, we need to get this done, and then they can look at the results, as Bob says, and see whether they're really necessary. Unless they'd like to make us make better use of us, that's always welcome.
Well, again, we'll have that discussion later on, but want to
Yeah.
make sure that our charge or our charter directs us to give advice to the select board, where we recommend things that'll actually make a difference, make changes,
Yes.
and and not just report back on wheel spinning, as the case may be, in terms of like discussions with MBI on some items. Okay, with that, I'm going to
We've
adjourn.
made progress with MBI. It's not complete wheel spinning. They occasionally give us info when we hold their feet to the fire with Senator Moran's office watching. We get tiny shards of little bits of helpful info.
Yeah, clearly that info has been helpful, and we'd be really behind the 8 ball without some of the key pieces of information. But the same goes for all the other towns too. Okay, with that, I'm going to adjourn. This is the last meeting of this committee, and hopefully we get back on board very quickly here. And until we hear from Anne Marie that we're on the next agenda for a quick reappointment, I'll send a message around, yay or nay. We'll see that by probably tomorrow evening. We can feel free to talk amongst ourselves until we get to some point where we're reappointed. Okay, with that, many thanks to all of you for hanging on for the last. I guess we've been on board for 10 months now, and I think we've made a whole lot of progress. I think we're going to have a big discussion with the select board when we get to the point of deciding where we go after we know whether or not we potentially have the ability to get some BEAD money based on the challenges that get submitted. With that, okay, I want to thank everybody, and have a great 4th of July one way or the other, and feel free to come and pick up any of these flyers from my front porch. Thanks a lot.
There. Thanks.
Yeah.